idioms and idiomatic language. So in your IELTS exam, the examiner is going to listen out for any idiomatic language which you have. So what is idiomatic language? Quite simply, it's just phrases which we use in English which also make no sense whatsoever. For example, last night I was dressed to the nines. My friend was walking like a peacock. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. That roughly translates to, last night I was dressed very, very well. My friend was being very self-confident or cocky, showing off, and there's a lot more information to tell you. In your IELTS exam, you will be expected to use several idioms or idiomatic phrases. Don't force them, but get used to the following. So grab a pen and paper and start writing down some notes. Yesterday, Ronan bought a bag of marijuana and he was over the moon. Is Ronan happy or sad about buying a bag of marijuana? Well, he's not sad. Now, is Ronan happy or very happy? Very happy. Is Ronan delighted? He's absolutely delighted. Therefore, we say, over the moon. Let me tell you about my friend Bob. Bob was always over the moon and kind-hearted. I was staying in a hotel and they had to upgrade me to the presidential suite. I was over the moon. It was Christmas and my father just gave me this beautiful golden watch. Needless to say, I was over the moon. In your IELTS exam, you don't say very happy. You say delighted or over the moon. It was Christmas. My father just gave me this beautiful phone, which must have cost him an arm and a leg. Now, please don't actually think that my father gave his arm and his leg for this phone. But it sure does sound better than saying, which must have been very expensive. What else costs an arm and a leg? A condo in Toronto, holidays, presents, gym memberships, drugs, escorts, your IELTS exam. They all cost an arm and a leg. Last year I went to France. It was absolutely amazing, but the hotel cost an arm and a leg. However, we didn't care because we were on holidays. If you live in a big city, you must be prepared to spend an arm and a leg on rent and transportation. What happens if you drop an egg? What happens if you go outside when it's raining? What happens if you shout that four-letter word in the airport? And how much is a presidential suite in a hotel? Well, guys, these all have obvious answers. It's obvious if you drop an egg, it breaks. It's obvious that if you walk outside when it's raining, you get wet. It's extremely obvious that if you shout that four-letter word in an airport, it's going to close down. And it's obvious that staying in a presidential suite is extremely expensive. In your IELTS exam, you're going to be asked some questions which, to be honest, have an obvious answer. So instead of saying, obviously, you're going to get to use an idiomatic expression, which is needless to say. So what happens if you drop an egg? Needless to say, it breaks. How much is it to stay in a presidential suite in a hotel? Needless to say, it's very expensive. By using needless to say, you also get to use that idiomatic expression, which of course is vital if you want to get a good score on the IELTS exam. Ask yourself, what do you like about your hometown? What do you like about your best friend? What do you like about the holidays? I love the way I can relax. I spend time with my family. I catch up with my friends, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. What do I like about Kelowna? Well, I saw a deer on my way to work. The people are so friendly. We're surrounded by mountains, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. Let me tell you about my friend Bob. Bob is generous, kind-hearted. He's funny, and honestly, that's just the tip of the iceberg about Bob. The problem with IELTS is that you have to talk a certain way in order to get a good score. It costs so much money, and the readings, to be honest, they're kind of boring, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. Tip of the iceberg is one of the best idioms to use when you have a list. In speaking part 2, you will definitely have a chance to use this idiom. If you give a list of adjectives, a list of reasons, you can always say at the very end, that's just the tip of the iceberg. Even if it's not the tip of the iceberg, even if you have nothing else to say about the topic, use the idiom. Get that idiomatic language going. And it's a very simple one to use. Tip of the iceberg. That's only the tip of the iceberg. There's more information to tell you. Very simple idiom. It slipped my mind. If something slips your mind, it basically means you just forgot what you were going to say. So instead of just sitting there and waiting to remember, you now say, sorry, it slipped my mind. Please give me a moment. By doing that, you get to use another piece of idiomatic language, which of course the examiner is looking out for. So let me tell you about my friend Bob. He's generous, he's kind, sorry, it slipped my mind. Yeah, he's kind-hearted, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. So there it is. Idioms. Idioms which you can use in your IELTS exam. To be honest, you might not use them ever again. However, it's your IELTS exam, so if you want to score well, you can easily use the previous idioms in any of your speaking exams. Please subscribe to these videos and do not forget to add me on Snapchat, ESL on the road, for very quick phrases and updates and questions. Don't forget to leave a comment, and if you have any questions, write it below or send me a mail.